and they're all accessible to you. And now we are going to turn it into gaming. Go ahead, Francis.
That's a bit insulting because it's more than just gaming. It's utilizing technology through game-rich curriculums and flipped classroom environment. Okay? Let's talk about this, changing up your game. Most people think that games in the classroom only have 3 places. Either they're review games, I plug in a whole bunch of stuff that we already talked about into a Jeopardy PowerPoint, and all of a sudden it's fun. But that's not really a game. They're fun, educational games, both in quotes, because usually these games aren't fun and they're not educational. And time-killing games, because we're just waiting for these kids to get out of the door, so they're done with their stuff on the computer, all right, play some games on MindPlay and be out the door. We need to change that, because games aren't a distraction as long as they're used the right way. We can teach the player, as in the student, rules and build motivation through these games. And here's how we do it with new methods. Here are 4 of them. Games that actually teach content. Games as text. Students making games. And game-like motivational systems. So let's start with games that actually teach content. Most of you have seen Oregon Trail before, maybe have played it. It's a game that actually teaches you content while you're playing it. If a member of your party dies of dysentery, it's pretty obvious. Dysentery was a big problem during the Oregon Trail. But don't limit yourself to just educational games. Make games educational. Here's how you can do it. Take a game like Assassin's Creed, which just came out recently. It has the story of the American Revolution, and it is incredibly historically accurate. There is a fictional story going on parallel to the history. That is fiction. I assign my students, play the game, separate the fact from fiction. And there are so many resources in the game. When you pass by a famous building, it gives you almost an essay about that building. Who built it? Why? What happened to it since the American Revolution? These are interactive stories that promote engagement because the student isn't just reading the story, they're interacting with it. They're a part of the story. They're inside of it. Examples like Assassin's Creed are one of many. But since we're strained for time, I'm going to move on to students actually making games. Now, games are complex things, and creating them is daunting. Studios spend millions of dollars creating these multi-platform, multi-dimensional games. But we can create very simple games in our own classroom that can apply to any content area. There's resources that I've already placed on Edmodo for you, so you can empower your students to use their content in this way. So we also learn by doing. We're going to go ahead and go into your iPads, open them up, and there should be a bookmark in your Safari. If you hit the little open book in the top left, if you're holding it this way, if you're holding it this way, it's still the top left. And there should be a bookmark. You have to hit the book again because it's going to give you history first. If you go to bookmark menus, it should be in there. And what we're looking for is create a text adventure. So let me show you the website on here, in case you're having trouble with it. This is what textadventures.co.uk looks like. There are some educational games already here, but we need educators to continue to submit games. You can create them yourself and have students play them, or what I think is even more innovative is you can have the students create the game themselves. It's kind of like choose your own adventure, where they write the text, they set up what different scenarios will involve what effects, and so it helps them think about cause and effect. And if they're doing it in a history class, they can take a section from history. Maybe take a unit on runaway slaves and build a story about a runaway slave utilizing the Underground Railroad and the challenges that that person would have to go through. They can narrowly miss escaping hunters. They can narrowly miss escaping a route, and maybe finally make it to the north. So there are all kinds of things that you can do with that. These are easy to create and to share. When you put them on the website, anyone can come up and use them too. Go ahead.
I just was wondering, like, how do we find out? I mean, if we set our kids on this, is it okay to use this, or do we have to have special permission to put kids on a website like that?
I'm not exactly sure. This hasn't been vetted yet,
Okay.
but I have myself already looked at all the resources there, and I'm getting to the process of vetting it. But I will let you know on the Edmodo when that happens. So far, though, you can create your own, and then have that exported to your own computer, where then the students can use it in a different way. And there's a lot of tutorials on that for using it. Thing is, it's free.
Yeah.
It's available for anyone, so the students can create, the teachers can create, and you can also upload images, sounds, and video to these stories that are interactive. And game-like motivational systems. Who here has a kid who likes to play Xbox or PlayStation 3? Have you ever heard of achievements? These are things that pop up during the game that tell them, oh, you killed this many guys on this map. Here's a little badge. Here's a little reward for what you did. Now those don't add up to much. They improve their gamer score, but really, that means nothing. You can't take it to a bank. But game-like motivational systems are incredibly motivating because these students want, well, these players, want to create all the rewards they can because it shows off their skill to other players. We need to borrow that motivational influence in the classroom because these badges and trophies and stuff exist in the flipped classroom environment that we're talking about, like Edmodo. You can give your students badges for perfect attendance, for an A+ on an essay, for inventive thinking. You can make your own badges, and there are plenty of them that are already preloaded into the program. But gamifying your classroom gives your students a reason to behave, and it gives them a reason to work. These may seem like meaningless things to us, but to a student, like I said, those achievements, they don't add up to anything. But there's whole website communities based off of how to get more and more of those achievements. Reward success presents achievable models, and it tracks progress. You can see which students are performing the best, and the students who aren't performing can see who is and how they can get to that place, because each of these badges has requirements for how they can achieve that. So, we talked about flipped classrooms before. Promoting the idea that your classroom is always available and open for learning. Guys, this is not something that you can or cannot do. This is not an option. UDL is what this is all about. So we're all going to be held up to this standard. Angel and Edmodo are just the tip of the iceberg. But as UDL starts moving in, and this becomes a requirement, you guys are going to have to flip your classrooms whether you like to or not. So let's make this something that we can all do. Before saying that you can't, or I don't have time, ask yourself what will happen if you don't. You'll be out of the job is what will happen. Because there's a teacher out there who's looking to flip a classroom. There's a teacher out there who's looking for a job and looking to teach kids on their level. Cops always say this, ignorance is no excuse of the law. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Well, ignorance of the tech is no excuse either. We can't be afraid of new technologies because we'll be out on our butts if we do. So don't wait for it to happen. You need to be the one to make it happen. Okay? Flipped classroom, it's just nothing more than pulling the teacher from the stage on the stage, like Rita said, into the classroom environment and making them a guide. That the students have the resources and the way to reach those goals, and we're supporting them along that route. So in closing, when you change your approach to games, the talk in the classroom changes and the talk in the hallway changes. It goes from students walking into your class going, what are we doing today? It goes from that into, I heard we're going to do a really fun activity today. I heard we're playing a game today. Is that true, mister? I heard that we're going to learn a lot today. And that has a powerful impact on student achievement and their attention in class. So, I have these resources available for you on Edmodo. We're not presenting it in any other way because, as I said before, this is a flipped classroom, and you have to show the initiative by going out there and getting those resources for yourself. We are the guides. We're not sages on stages. We want to provide you with a way to get to that information. So, with that said, I'm going to hand it back off to Rita so that she can get more time because she